And we'll get to this thing. What I'm going to present to you is kind of like the ice bucket challenge, but it's more like the 100-degree challenge. We want to see if I can get you to go 100 degrees and turn from water to steam. You're mostly water anyway, so you might get that analogy. But anyway, you can read everything that I have here. I'll put it online. You'll be able to access it. But I'm going to mess up. I'm going to be nervous because I want to do a good job. And I read through this thing and it just sounded like somebody reading it. And you could read it. I just want you to know that the information I have could be backed up. You can look at it through Google. I'm using mainstream science here. I'm just going to connect some dots from you. And this is coming from an awake person that's trying to wake you up. Okay, at the end of the day. So thank you for taking this challenge. And you know, it's 100 slides. So if you make it through the 100 slides, or if there's any question on any slide, you can let me know what number the slide is and we can nail this thing down. We can see, I want this to be a representation of the truth. So you can let me know what percentage you agree. All right, so we can play around with that. But here we go. So I'm gonna walk you through this, and there's some stuff that I'm gonna say that's gonna be right reading off the lines, and some stuff I'll just gloss over to try to keep it quick. But just know that the information that I'm saying, you could look up yourself and you could research it yourself. All right, here we go. Oh, good question. There's a question out there. Yeah, I'm just imagining now that I'm just imagining me and you are having a conversation. I'm imagining you sitting in this chair. So I want it to be conversational. I just wanted you to know that it's backed up by the truth, right? Like I'm not a guy trying to pull wool over your eyes. I woke up myself, just a little background on me, October of 2014, right? So, you know, but I've been searching, I've been looking within, I've been trying to do the self-work, the deprogramming, if you will, to remove what I thought I was to experience what I am. All right, so we'll keep it moving. Now, why do I say this is Black Edition? Because me knowing what I am, I don't see color like that, but my spacesuit is a black spacesuit. I've been subjected to so much because of the color of my spacesuit. I've even been systematically held down from an education standpoint because of the color of my spacesuit. So I need to tell other people that have a color spacesuit like me that even though the other color spacesuit wants to make you feel inferior, the color of their spacesuit doesn't matter. And everything that I see, you can see is a culmination of the work that I've done. I've been at this for a while, y'all. You can listen to my music. You can hear every video that I put, every tweet that I put out, that this all aligns to this truth, all awaken you up like it's the real deal. So here we go. All right. Now don't get scared. I'm not just going to show you the blue pill. You can choose whether you take it or not, and there's no judgment. You can snap if you wish. I mean, you can nap if you wish. You can snap too if you want to. But that's kind of funny. But you would get better results if you, in life, you would get better results in life if you're awake. Now, have you tried the alternatives? And it's true, I did hijack your movie. Right now, I'm just an extra in a lot of your movies. But this information at the end of this is going to ignite you and cause questions. I'm just going to be opposition for you to question. I'm not even showing my face because I want you to listen to the information. And you're only going to be able to listen or read at one time, but it's all there for you to read and it's all there for you to listen to. So just know that I've connected dots that most don't, experience things that most don't, but that everyone can. And I think everyone will as part of this awakening. All right, so here we go. So follow my logic. I'm going to show you a vision of the truth. This is my vision of the truth that I'm trying to give you. And we can comment and we can get this vision as clear and as truthful as possible and show you what we need. And we need this, and show you what they need, and show you what they did to us black people. And it's true, we do need this. Now it's up to you to do the work necessary for you to know it for yourself. I'm only showing you my cliff notes to hopefully make your journey smoother. Results will vary. See, I bump my head a lot and I'm trying to give you the clearest, like I bumped that mic. I bump my head a lot and I'm trying to give you the clearest path to the truth. And I focus on who I was because I figured knowledge of that and knowledge in itself would allow me to do whatever else I wanted to do in life with knowledge of who I was, because that is the foundation from which you spring upon, in my opinion. All right, now let's start with the basics and work our way up. Let's start with what we can agree on. What can we agree on? So you exist, matter exists, nature exists. Agree, right? Let's start there. I need to stop hitting that mic. Let's start there. What's the matter? Now I'm going to present this to you like I don't know this stuff, all right? Or like you don't know this stuff. And I don't know a lot as well. That's not a slip, I'm sure. Because once you become awake, it's not like you know everything. It's more like you don't know anything. There's so much creation out there. There's so many different variations. There could be so many universes, dimensions. We only know what we know in this human experience. And an infinite creator, a source, all possibility is all possibility. You can't put a limit on this. So I don't know it as well. So this, I'm learning as I do this as well. I'm in the same school of earth as you guys. I'm just on a higher degree, and I want to get everybody on that same degree. It's time to graduate. Now, matter, the stuff that we're all made of, is just physical substance in general. Now, dark energy is made up of we don't know. It's paradoxical. It accelerates. They say it does this. We really don't know. Now, I'm going to ask you questions too. These are light questions, but I just thought this would be kind of cute. What color is the seemingly paradoxical energy that's causing the universe to accelerate? That's for black people. It's dark energy. 96% of energy is dark energy. You can make a joke about that. Now, what makes up atoms? What makes up matter? The stuff that we interact with, the luminous matter, that 0.4% or whatever. Or like for a hydrogen atom, they say it's 99.9999999999996% empty space. That's a lot of empty space. Now, when you start digging deeper, say, okay, what's in there? So you get protons, neutrons, electrons, and then digging, using this thing, the Large Hadron Collider, 17 miles around. It's basically a big microscope. They use that to bang particles together to see what comes out. And they're still looking, and basically they don't know what's at the bottom. Now, everything you see is matter. You're made of matter. Matter is energy, and there's only one energy, one eternal energy that can't be created nor destroyed. There's only one, truly, there's only one energy, and it always was and always is. You're made of it, you're observing it, and you can interact with it. I mean, science agrees with that. I'll be like, let's see if we can get here. Like, where are we at on this? This is 14%. Okay, 14 degrees, right? So do you agree there? All right. Now, where did matter come from? The Big Bang Theory. This is what science would say. So the Big Bang Theory says billions of years ago it came from nothing. And they say we shouldn't trust our instincts because we're home to survive in the African savannah, not to understand the inner workings of the universe. I say, what if they're wrong? What if we can't understand the inner workings of the universe from our perspective, from within? Now, the Big Bang doesn't attempt to create or explain the creation of the universe, what initiated, what came before. It leaves that to philosophy and philosophers. It's basically like saying what's north to north, and they don't care. Before the Big Bang means nothing to them. They define the Big Bang and say, we'll start here. We don't care before that. Now, science says nothing before the Big Bang. Don't trust our instincts. Something comes from nothing, then there's something. Something comes from nothing, and there's nothing to see here. I said there's something to see here. It's not another slip. Yeah, right. All right, on the earth. Now, what if science is missing something? What if there's alternative? What if the alternative is true? What if there is a designer? Is it possible? It's a question. Some people might drop off here. It's not possible. Now, does nature show fingerprints of design, intelligence, beauty, love? That's a question as well. Not a personified deity that has human traits, but a cosmic intelligence, an innate wisdom that organizes according to laws we have observed, laws that nature exhibits, an innate knowing we can tap into as well. Aren't we a part of nature? What does a spider have to read to know how to make the web? What is the geese's GPS? There's an innate knowing that we observe, and we marvel at nature for its ability to do that, but we think we can't do that when we are part of nature as well. Just because we can move around doesn't mean we're not a part of nature. Now, I'm talking about a real sentient, benevolent intelligence that's already connected to you. It's already connected to you. It already exists. Now, you can call it what you want: higher self, inner self, God, source, all possibility, all there is, I am, etc. But it is real. It is within you, and it's ready to reveal itself. This force of creation, this intelligence, see, we can observe it operating within nature. Science is perplexed by it extensively, right? So science studies nature and copies it, and it's crazy. They're still marveled by what nature could do. The same intelligence that creates universes created you. Now, you don't have to believe in anything outside of yourself. The source of the universe has its seed within you, just like any fruit from nature has its seed within it. The tree is within the fruit. The fruit has the ability to make the tree. The tree has the ability to make the fruit. As above, so below. The experience is within and available for you if you open yourself up to the possibility. Is it possible that God could exist? So we're at 24 here. So we'll see if people drop off at 24 degrees. All right, that's a possibility. 25 degrees. Oh, that's a possibility. Okay, here we go. Now, 4.5 billion years ago, the Earth forms, they say, through accretion, a slow process, thing by thing from a nebula. And a nebula creates stars. So the cosmic stuff that you're made of is literally stardust. We are made from recycled stars. That's ridiculous. The universe is green. Now, how big is the universe? You look out with the Hubble telescope, where you can see 13 billion light years away from us, right? It takes pictures. It sits there for hours, long exposures, catching light from these distant galaxies, and it comes up with this, like an ultra deep field. And what it is, in this small picture of one small piece of space, there's 10,000 galaxies in this image. 100,000 million stars are in our galaxy alone. And a star is just like our sun, and we're just floating around our sun just like a planet would. There's nothing special over here. So life exists. I mean, it's a reality. Life finds a way. We see that everywhere here. Okay, people may drop off there, 29 degrees. Now, I'm going to stop saying degrees and we're just going to walk through it. Now, there you go. Let's walk around that rabbit hole of uncertainty and wonder, okay? Because we can go either way with that. We'll leave that one for later because there's a lot to learn. The rabbit hole goes deep in both directions, but we're trying to make this quick and I'm not doing a good job of that. So in summary, here we go. Everything is energy, including your body. It can't be created or destroyed, and it only changes form. You are made from the same stuff that makes literal stars. The same amount of energy has always existed. It is a closed system. There is only one energy. You are part and parcel with that energy, and it exists within. That energy exists within. Well, that's true, but that's not what that says. You are part and parcel with that energy and exists within it. Okay, and that energy is 96% black. Okay, so we'll see if people agree with that. 31, I want to know that. Agreement, okay? Let's see, on to the people. A couple million years ago, people come here to Africa. Question, what color are the people in Africa where scientific theories suggest that we all originated from? Black people. Why am I black? The melanin in your skin makes you black, and it's produced by melanocytes, I believe. And the thing about these that you need to know is that they're in everything. Melanin is in everything. And those skin cells, those melanocytes, I believe, they are in white people too. But certain ethnic groups produce more amounts than others. So question, what color has a higher amount of melanin? What color people have a higher amount of melanin? So all people are basically black people with varying amounts of melanin, which is in all of nature. Got it. Let's see if we can agree there. 4,600 years ago, the pyramids are built in Africa, in Egypt, Africa, which is northeastern Africa, right? They had their own technology, medicine. They created their own alphabet, decimal system, and they also built a lot of their things to the golden ratio. What is that? Now, they say in science it could be just, of consequence, unintended. Now, what is the golden ratio? What would you ask that question? The golden ratio is 5. It's usually rounded to 1.618. You'll see it in the Fibonacci sequence, and the Fibonacci is seen throughout nature, and it looks like that. You can Google all this stuff. 2,629 years ago, Buddha comes. Buddha is the awakened one. He wakes up. He's a man that's fully awoken from a deep sleep. They're discovering that suffering like the dream is over. This is what the Buddhists say. They say the historical Buddha isn't the first one. There's been others who's walked away before him. He rediscovered an ancient way to the ancient city. Stop hitting the mic. And it's been covered up and forgotten. It's true. It's been covered up and forgotten. This is how it reveals, or how I'm revealing it. This is, you want to reveal it in your way. I would like to see that. But it has been covered up and forgotten, especially if you made it at dark matter. All right. Now, through his own efforts, he was able to find a way out of suffering and liberation. And that's what it takes, your own efforts. Now, what does Buddha have to do with anything? It's just an example of someone. See, this is me showing you information that's there. I'm just a messenger. I'm just showing you I'm connecting the dots. Am I a Buddhist? No, I'm not a Buddhist. What is being awake? Good question. That is the question. All right. I'm not dreaming, am I? That's what people say. I'm not dreaming, am I? When asked how you wanted to be remembered, Buddha said, as one who woke up. What does that mean? So this talks about the conscious and subconscious. So your body is able to run on autopilot. It's like when you first learn how to drive, it's a thing, you know, you got to think about each turn, each thing. But as you eventually drive, eventually you can just, your body drives itself. You don't even think about driving. You don't, the same things that you fear before, you don't fear now when you're driving for a while. That's just an example. How does one wake up? It's not difficult. This is part of the process, just giving you the information, simple awareness that it exists, right? Being able to say, oh, that's something. Waking up is something. Now, some people wake up in a grand epiphany, blah, blah, blah. Those are enlightened being saints. I'm not saying blah, blah, blah in a negative way. I'm trying to speed it up. Those are enlightened being saints, mystics for some. But basically, your experience is going to be your experience, but you can be fully awake. So waking up is like taking full control of your life and not letting it run on autopilot. Got it. See, here's the thing. Someone is controlling your life. It's either you or not you. I'm trying to say you can do a better job than anyone else at controlling you. So take full control. Don't let anyone else get control that you got. All right. Now, 1983 years ago, here comes Yeshua, but you can call him Jesus, or they call him Jesus. Jesus of Nazareth. All right. He was a Messiah to some, not to some. Now, Christ is a title, and it just means anointed or chosen one. Okay. Was Jesus awake? Good question. What color was Jesus? That's also a good question, because when you look at Google, that's all they show you. But then when you ask, is Jesus black, and this is a Christian site that I'm quoting this from, they say, well, that doesn't really matter. You know, he's Jewish, and they talk about black Hebrews. Who were black Hebrews? You know, and then they're saying, well, Jewish was Jesus. I mean, Jesus was Jewish. So he was light to brown, dark skin. He said, they ultimately say it doesn't matter. But the question that you need to answer, or the question you need to ask, if it really doesn't matter, what color is he? If it really doesn't matter what color he is, then what possible color is grossly misrepresented here? Now, this is what you won't hear him say. You know, he says stuff like, the stuff I do, you can do stuff like this and greater. He said, why do you call me good? There is none good but God. He said, don't look here or there. The kingdom of God is within you. He said, it's not written in your law that you are God's. You know, but they say that Jesus say that he is God. You know, and there's arguments within the Christians about that, you know, but that's what they say. So you should worship Jesus. But he didn't say that in the Bible. They can't point to that. Okay, so anyway, 1691, they were still arguing about that. So Council of Nicaea said, all right, we're going to figure this out. Nicene Creed, Jesus is God. Constantine was a Roman emperor. He converted everyone to Christianity, Roman Catholic. They got it down. Okay, Jesus is God. Let's stop arguing about this. All right, is it possible that the real Jesus may have not looked like what we've been shown? Is it possible? Is it possible that Jesus was awake? What is awake? Is it possible? Is it possible? That's another possibility. Now, 412 years ago, King James Version is authorized. Who was King James? Who authorized the version? It wasn't us. Why are we following someone else's version of the truth? There is no version of the truth. Now the stage is set. Now this is where you come in. This is the part where you come in. All right, 397 years ago, first African slaves arrived. Okay, we did not come here on our own free will. We were brought over here as slaves. Now, what color were the slaves that were shipped into Africa to replace poor European slaves? What was slavery? Well, we need to look at chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is an imprisonment that where you're owned and your children are owned and they're automatically enslaved. That's kind of what my ancestors went through. And chattel is general use or possession. We weren't considered a person because of the amount of melanin in our skin. That's the amount of ignorance that we were facing. So imagine facing that amount of ignorance and trying to tell people about waking up. I know, it's kind of similar. I know you didn't expect that parallel. But anyway, it was made legal by kings, queens, and governments. Chattel as in property. Yeah, the same governments, kings, and queens, yeah, said we were property, right? Look at this. 240 years ago, Declaration of Independence. Holding that document up. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men, right? This is 240 years ago. They said all men are endowed by the Creator. The hypocrisy now, because America wanted freedom, but they had slaves themselves, because there were slaves that were owned by Americans that were involved in that stuff. Anyway, more cotton, more slaves. They brought in more slaves even after that. That's the funny part, because once they got the cotton gin, they needed more labor, cheap labor. So question, where did America, when America needed more labor to run its cotton production, they used slave labor of people of what color mostly? 217 years ago, George Washington passes. Now, this is, yeah, George Washington on your dollar bill. Now, 56 years ago, George Washington struggled, they say. Now, they're bragging on George Washington here at mountvernon.org. Okay, now listen to this. George Washington struggled with the institution of slavery for 56 years now and spoke frequently of his desire to end it. And he only ended it bravely, they say, when he passed away. It was in his will. Yeah, that's a struggle there. He could have easily did that. There were rebellions. Not all the slaves just laid down. Now, 125 years ago, Nat Turner rebelled. Supporters of slavery said, since he rebelled, we need to push them down even further, limit the education, movement, assembly. Question: what color was the people that had their education systematically limited? Now, we couldn't fight them. They outnumbered us. They had laws against us, all because of our melanin, extreme ignorance. Then we began to outsmart, outthink, and outlove our oppressors. 166 years ago, Underground Railroads. Free blacks and other anti-slavery northerners began helping fugitive slaves escape from southern plantations, right? So free blacks are helping other blacks experience freedom. That's what I'm trying to do. What color were the people that had to sneak around at night and risk their lives for freedom? All right, so as we began to seek knowledge, we saw our own genius could be that of any color. We recognized that, we saw that, and these are some of these geniuses. So let's talk about what they say, so you don't take my word for it. 76 years ago, Marcus Garvey. Liberate the minds of men and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. A people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. 62 years ago, Albert Einstein, he came up with one of the two pillars of modern physics. There's there's relativity, and then there's quantum physics. So Albert Einstein, he's a genius. He says imagination is more important than knowledge. He says reality is a mere illusion. Interesting, albeit a persistent one. Very true. He says the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. And he says, great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. I understand that one. Anyway, 52 years ago, Malcolm X, when he came back after his return from Mecca, he said an awakened people pose a threat to Western interests. And he just basically said they're vulturisms. And it's true. And he said, just as external forces pose a great threat, they can now see that the internal forces pose even a greater threat. What are these internal forces? The internal forces pose a greater threat, he says, when they've properly analyzed the situation and know what the stakes are. The stakes are high. We need to do this now. If not now, then when? If not you, then who? What are we waiting on? 53 years ago, Martin Luther King, I have a dream. He was talking about urgency. He said 53 years ago, this is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or taking the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. It seems like not much has happened since these great leaders. But he says then was a time for democracy. Then was a time to make the real promise of democracy. He said now is the time for the dark and desolate valley of segregation. Look at what we're doing now. Alan Watts, another genius. Now you might not have heard of Alan Watts, but he's a British philosopher. Now science, let's throw this back to science. Science says, hey, we don't study all that deep inner physical, creation stuff. Leave it to the philosopher. So what does a genius philosopher say? After leaving the church, he never became a member of another organized religion. He wrote and spoke about Zen Buddhism, though. And he was criticized by American Buddhists. American Buddhists criticized him for saying he didn't sit enough in the lotus position. And he simply said a cat sits until it's done sitting, then he gets up, stretches, and walks away. I believe he woke up. He understood who he was. He knew who he was. So let's see what he says. He says, become who you are. He says, you are the vast thing that you see far, far off with great telescopes. Interesting. He says, you don't look out there for God, something in the sky. You look in you. Okay, this is what the philosopher says. Science throws it to philosophy. This is what a genius philosopher says. 27 years ago, what does a genius Christian Jesuit that's inside this Catholic Roman church that's made up by Constantine say? Anthony Tony DeMayo, Jesuit priest, psychotherapist. He knows about the church, Jesuit priest, knows about the mind, psychotherapist. He says having a lot of money has nothing to do with being a success in life. Whoa, they lied to us. It's all about the money. You're a success in life when you wake up. Hey, everybody talk about waking up. Okay, I'm gonna stop pretending like y'all saying that. Then you don't have to apologize to anyone. You don't have to explain anything to anyone. You don't have to give a damn what anyone thinks about you. You don't care what anybody says about you. You have no worries. You're happy. That's what I'll call being a success. That's freedom. How would it feel to experience that? Let's go. Anthony DeMayo, spirituality means waking up. So he basically said most people are asleep and you need to wake your butt up. When you wake up, you know what to do. You know who you are. It's ignorance in ourselves. The same ignorance that was supplied by our suppressors because of the skin of our color is being supplied to ourselves because of the skin of our color. We suppressed our own spirituality because we feel we're not worthy. In some reasons, I'm telling you, you are worthy for all reasons. Now, the Catholic Church doesn't agree. They say DeMayo, he doesn't represent us. And then they said, we're going to stop printing his books after he died. So what does this all have to do with me? It has everything to do with you because you have to question. You have to look within yourself. You have to free yourself. What sense of self do you have? Have you slayed your own inner demons? Are you willing to forgive yourself? Have you faced your own ignorance? Ignorance of your heritage, of your history, of your own divinity? They tried to make us think we were inferior. They made us think God was jealous and vengeful and gave you a way to save yourself from this cruel, loving God when they introduced him to you. They introduced this God to you. They introduced this God to you and then said you had to do this and that to get the love of a God that they introduced to you. To save yourself, you had to believe that you were a sinner and that without help from a savior, you had to go to heaven. You needed a savior to be able to go to heaven. So let me ask you this, just me asking you a question, listener. 85%, 85 degree listener. Okay, you boiling, ain't you? 85 degree listener. If your loved ones are in heaven, and this is a question, this is not on the slide, this is just a question, we're having a conversation. You know, at one point we're going to do this in person. If your loved ones are in heaven now, and they are, and if they're in heaven and heaven exists, they would be in heaven at some time in the future or now. You probably say now, okay? And when do you exist? And you exist, okay? You say, okay, well, I exist now too. So heaven exists now. Okay, so that's a question. So they're going to somewhere that already exists. They exist in the same time and space that you exist. They still exist. So that's a question. Do they still exist? They exist in the same time and space. They're all only is the now. Anyway, that's a rabbit hole. I said no more rabbit holes. Anyway, did you read where Jesus said heaven was? There's some agreement here. Jesus said heaven was within Anthony DeMayo. You got to listen to what he says because he's a character, man. He's a smooth talker. Alan Watts, also a very, very smooth talker. Character, you know, James Bondish, kind of Sean Connery-ish. And those are two people that I recommend because they're entertaining. They are comical. They make it light, but they're also very deep. And they're just easy to listen to. So anyway, I'm digressing. I'm trying to make this quick. We moving. All right. So why would a loving God create a question? Why would a loving God create hell? Why? Why would a loving God create hell? That doesn't sound like to me, the experience I have of the inner self, the higher self, the all possibility is unconditional love. And there's no conditions on unconditional love. And you can ask a parent this. Why would a parent burn his child forever? Now, are you waiting to be saved? That's a question you ask yourself. It's rhetorical. But, you know, hear those voices in your head say that. And you can ask them, from what? And now you're having to talk with your voices in your head. Anyway. They don't exactly have the best record of truth and morality. Sorry to inform you, but the only person that's capable of saving you is yourself. And it is worth every effort. Now, do you think your oppressor, who has had every opportunity to stop pressing you, by the way, would give you the truth? Would they give you the keys if they had them? That's questionable. If they had them, they may not have known. Could have been that degree of ignorance. Now, there's a lot of ignorance out there. Well, let's ask the question again. Would they give you the keys to set yourself free? Would a prison guard give you the key to the lock? You can probably answer that one before you answer that one. So, but lucky you, the key is within. See, the key is within, and nobody can take it. See, I was whispering on that part because I want to make it seem like it's a secret, but it ain't a secret. You know, this is out. This is on top. But it's suppressed to a degree. You have to understand that they still don't want you to know this information. That's why it's being presented in the way it is, underground. But it's coming to the top, baby. This is the powder keg. The plan, it's been a long plan, y'all. Your boy been planning this for a minute. I know y'all want to believe all this stuff. So instead of me wasting my time talking to a whole bunch of people not believing that, I made videos. So then you can look back at the videos. And then I can talk to the people about the videos, so at least we on the same level what we're talking about. And the questions that y'all are asking and that y'all are going to ask on this, we're going to answer those questions. So it's going to be like, what are the new questions? Because we're going to figure this thing out, because your boy on to something. And this is what we're going to do about peace. We're going to make it happen. There's nothing stopping us. All right, anyway, where was I? The key is within and nobody could touch it. Do you think it's possible that the religion and stories that we were given were presented in a way to keep us ignorant and subservient? Is it possible to a person, deity, being, whatever, that looked like our oppressors? Why? We would be easier to control for life. This is mental slavery, and we still are not free. Now let's take a look at this. Mental slavery. Look how big that elephant is. Look how big that elephant is on the right, okay? It can easily break that rope. That's a mental thing. The elephant is thinking about all the times it tried to break the rope when it was small and weak and couldn't break the rope. So it sees the rope is the same. No need to try. That didn't work all those times. That's a program. That's all that is. We can tell the elephant all day, you can break that rope, you can do it, buddy, but you can't make the elephant move its leg. Look how strong and big that elephant is. You couldn't move its leg if you wanted to. Has to do it itself. But all you can do is show them the information. That's all I can do is show you the information. Now look at the news. We really protesting Black Lives Matter. Protesting who? Protesting, are you asking for someone to do something that you can't do for yourself? Right? If we're going to protest, let's protest the extreme ignorance of who we are. Let's fight that. Deny ignorance. Do you think it's possible that what I have carefully presented to you is the truth? The good news. No catch. It's the same thing that these dudes, the shoulders that I'm standing on, because I'm just a messenger. I just, really not even that. I just compiled the information. I sought experience myself. But that's why I'm not even on this video. It's not even about, I want the information to be judged if you want to judge anything. But you can see the source for everything I came with. It's what you would search on Google when you look for it. But anyway, this is the good news. I just put it together in a manner that you may not have. There's no catch. I'm talking about the same thing an awake person would talk about. But anyway, this is the good news. No catch. You may not have connected these dots in this manner, but it all makes sense. You may not have connected these dots in this manner, but it's all there to review. Doesn't make sense. How could you prove me wrong? Now is the time where we have to question. The world is awakening and you're on the forefront of it. It's your choice to expand your mind and heart to accept the possibility that there could be another way, more information, something more than we see, a better way for us to live together, freedom, joy, peace, a better experience of being alive on this planet. If there's a such thing as free will, which we have, which we do, why did we choose to limit ourselves in the way that we have? Now, I'm either lying or I'm telling the truth. I've purposely made this to where it was such a wide gap of grayness that it's not even gray anymore. It's either black or white. That's why the slides are black and white. I'm talking black and white. Just the facts, ma'am, right? The only way to truly know is to search within. If you do that sincerely, you will have an experience of a larger aspect of yourself that can't be explained or only experienced, and you will know. Now, what if this spiritual underground railroad, right, the freedom from false beliefs and programming is available for you to experience? I took it upon myself to seek the knowledge that has been hidden from me so I would know myself. I saw experience for myself. I am awake. Are you? Now, what do I want you to do? I want you to wake up. When you wake up, you'll know what to do. You'll do it better. You'll do it with more passion. You'll be more happy. Other people will not be able to influence you. You will see that no one else has the power to make you unhappy. So you choose happiness because there's not a better reason to not choose it. Because you see that any reason they give you is based on something that happened in the past. And as soon as you say past, it's in the past. And the only thing that exists is the now. As soon as you get grasped and understand that, you become something that is awake. Leave it at that. So that's what I want you to do. And part of that is question. Question yourself. Question yourself as much as you question me. And then I think you might want to join the movement to create a new world for us and our future generations. This could be the work that we can do. This can be the example of unity that we need to see. We need to be the change we need to see in the world. I am being that change. I need other people that want to be that change. Let's work together and let's do it. And for the future generations, we can stop this now. We can make it to where this is common sense going forward, and the future would be something we can't imagine. Now, they're absolutely worth that. Now, we can stop this now, as I said, and begin to work on solutions. I don't have all the answers, but together we can make the world better. We've gotten to this, we can get out of it, right? It's just going to take a higher level of consciousness, and we're able to attain that. Now, we each have a piece of the puzzle. There's each a thing within us, a burning desire that we want to bring forth into this world. The only purpose I want to do, my intent or my passion, is to ignite that and make that as clear a representation as possible. Just like I want to be as clear a channel for truth as possible. And we each have a piece of the puzzle, so let's start putting it together. Let's start building something. Now look within, question yourself as much as you question me. I know you probably think I could be wrong. Get that all the time. But do you think that you could be wrong? Now just point to me where I have been wrong, and we can work on that. And because I want to be as aligned with the truth as possible. Again, now have you looked for information outside of your box? Have you researched the opposition? Have you looked within to check? Now imagine the water temperature 99 degrees, scared to turn into steam. It's the same thing. Water is steam, just in a different form. You'd experience the freedom of being steam if you turn into steam at 100 degrees. But if you stopped at 99, you wouldn't have that experience. Imagine a caterpillar scared to be a butterfly, scared to change form, scared to fly. There is no fear, but there's a lot of fear of taking control, of being responsible, of claiming your own divinity. But you're already a butterfly. You just have to wake up from the caterpillar dream and realize that you already have wings and learn to use them. All right, so we're done here. I appreciate it. Let's connect. Let's talk. Let's discuss this. Let's start building something. And we got level 2, baby. We're just talking about simple addition right here. 1 + 1 = 2. And I can't even talk about multiplication yet until we get addition. So if we can agree on addition, then maybe we'll see what multiplication does. But any questions, get with me and I will get back to you ASAP. I want to build something lasting, truthful, positive for the community that empowers everybody, to let them know that they are the cosmic source experiencing itself through them. When they look in the mirror, they are seeing a reflection of the intelligence that creates the universe. And it's as big as anything that the Hubble telescope could look like. And it's as small as anything that can be seen, but it can be experienced. Okay, I'm out of here. Peace. I'm out of here. Peace. I'm out of here.